If Catherine Cryer had to give you dating advice, what would it be?
Catherine Cryer gave me dating advice.
Yeah.
She'd go, let him know who's boss. There's a time to be submissive, but there's also a time to stand up for yourself. And so I think Catherine would just sit there and reiterate, as far as dating is concerned, know who you are, know what you want, and know what you're not willing to accept.
Does that translate to how you handle your dating life now?
Absolutely not. I need to listen to Catherine a heck of a lot
Your
more.
inner Catherine. So for those of y'all who don't know, if you've been living under a rock, this is Renee Lawless. She is star of stage and screen, and she is one of the stars of Tyler Perry's hit show, The Haves and the Have-Nots.
The hit show.
Hit
on
show.
Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock on the Oprah Winfrey Network.
And she's also one of my friends. So if you all haven't seen, she decorated my entire home for Christmas, and so it's fabulous. And so we decided to come together today to talk
eat.
about
My favorite thing to do.
I love it too.
So
We're
do
going
I.
to eat and talk about the single life.
Which
So
I know a lot about.
So
This is
you-
not therapist, by the way.
y'all hear that? Y'all hear that?
I'm being open and frank. I mean, I haven't always been this strong and fly or whatever.
But you are amazing,
Well, thank
and I
you.
appreciate. That's why I was like, we have to do this. I know how open you are. The times in my life where I allowed myself to be subjected to the worst abuse, whether it was mental, emotional, whatever. It was the times in my life where my self-esteem was so low that whatever someone told me about myself, especially someone I was in love with,
Right.
I believed it. And because I believed it, I allowed them to continue to perpetuate treatment on me as if I was the person that they told me I was. That person deserved that. And as my self-esteem has increased over the years, I realized that I desire and deserve more. And because I know that I deserve more, certain types of treatment just doesn't work for me anymore. It's not acceptable. But there was a point in my life when that was happening. I thought I deserved it on some level, or I thought I couldn't get anything better, maybe.
Right, exactly. And even though we might be at a place in our life that I know I am, that I know I deserve better. I know who I am. I know all these things, but the L word comes into play. The L word, I'm going to tell you what that word is in a minute, can infiltrate the most powerful, the strongest, whatever. But the loneliness factor
Is that the L word?
L word.
Lonely.
The loneliness factor can override the strongest person. You can think, I'm kind of dealing with something like this right now. You can think that you know you deserve this. You know you're a strong person. You know all these things, and you know you do not want to and or accept anything less than whatever. But all of a sudden, somebody comes in that's feeding that but you're still lonely.
Yeah.
They're feeding that loneliness factor.
Yeah.
And they're not necessarily the right person, but they're the only
They're
person.
present.
Their presence
Yeah.
is there. And it's feeding the L word. It's feeding the lonely. So you're not feeding you, you're feeding the lonely. And that's
kryptonite.
yes. It's a termite. Can I put this on record and listen it to myself? It's a termite. A termite doesn't eat your house at one day. Does it over time.
You know how I've learned to deal with the loneliness factor? Is so what I used to do, just to give a contrast, what I used to do is when I would be lonely, that's when I would go into my little black book, call over so-and-so to come and kiss the lonely away, or just sit with me. You know what I mean? Just sit with me, honey. Just cuddle with me. Just cuddle with me, you know? I would call them over, and then inevitably something would happen, and it would be what it was, and I would feel okay for that moment. But then what happens when I can't reach that person? Or what happens when that person comes around and I get more attached to them, but they can't offer me what I need because the fact is they're not a good fit for me.
It's like sugar.
It's like sugar.
It's like a donut. That donut tastes so good.
Mm.
I love donuts. It's like a
Yeah, the
Krispy
best
Kreme
Krispy
donut.
Kremes at your house
Yes,
the
oh,
other
let me
day.
tell you. So you get that donut, and it's everything. It's everything, and it'll even be with you for a little bit afterwards. But then you want another donut.
If you don't have it, you're gonna have that crash.
Right, and then you don't have it right, and you plummet. It's like sugar. It's totally like a sugar high.
You know what I've done now is it's not that I don't get lonely anymore, because I think we all have those moments. What I've learned to do now is just let myself feel the feelings of loneliness. So I think that what happens is, as humans, we are so accustomed to whenever we feel something, a strong feeling, we want to shut the feeling down. So for example, if I'm sitting right here with you and you start to cry because you're saying something emotional, I may say, oh no, don't cry, here's a napkin. We are so accustomed to not wanting to experience other people's strong emotions and definitely not experiencing our own. But here's the problem with it. When we don't experience our emotions, we end up making the emotions be bigger than what they are. So when I allow myself just to experience loneliness, like what is it like just to sit here and not invite someone over? What is it like to sit here and not have a cocktail just to ease away? What is it like to sit here and not do anything and just sit in aloneness? What would happen? Well, inevitably a couple hours will pass. I'll get sleepy and go to bed. I'll wake up the next day, start my day, and life will go on.
Life will go on.
And I realized when I allow myself to feel my feelings, they're not as bad as I thought they were. And they're actually, I can move ahead because I'm not making poor choices that are going to create more circumstances.
Right, because talking about loneliness will let people have different things to combat loneliness. Food, sugar, shopping.
Oh my God, yeah.
Let me tell you, the add to your cart is the downfall of the video.
Online shopping.
Online shopping.
I spent so much damn money online in the middle of the night.
Add to the cart. Continue shopping button needs to be go away. So you have sugar, and then there's alcohol. And I'm not saying people that drink and lose it, but I know of a person that is that person's medication. And if you're not careful, the more of that medication you take, the worse you are going to feel.
That was what it was for me. I told some people this. I stopped drinking. And I stopped drinking initially just as a 30-day experiment to see how my body would adjust to not doing it. My body was fine, it felt better, we had more energy, all the obvious stuff. But the biggest benefit was my decision making. I realized that I made the worst decisions when it was related to men and relationships, usually with alcohol, because I would feel lonely. So I would go out and have cocktails with friends. While out having cocktails with friends, if I didn't meet anybody that night, I would go home feeling sad and more lonely. If I did meet someone that night, entertain them, and this is not the right person for me, so regretting, even giving them my energy. And I said, I am keeping myself in the very cycle I don't want to be in, and alcohol, for me, was a tool to contribute to. I was never an excessive drinker, but I just did not like how I was using alcohol in those down moments. So you
can look at somebody with the glasses of alcohol, and in that moment, they are the world. But once the alcohol wears off and you're like,
oof, what was I thinking? What was I thinking?
Bye, darling, talking to you. Bye. It's great. It's bye. Don't call me, I'll call you.
I love that you brought this up though about the L word with loneliness. I think that that's something that we often don't talk about, but it affects us. Some of y'all listening in relationships right now, or have been in relationships. Yes! And so that tells you just having a man doesn't fix the loneliness, because you can get them, they feel like a placeholder, but ultimately they're not the right fit for you and you're still lonely.
You don't need a man.
I love this.
You want a man. You want the comfort. You want to be held. You want to be nurtured. You want all these things. You need somebody to help you around the house. You need someone to climb up the ladder.
Yeah.
Women, you need to climb up your own daggone ladder. But I mean, you need someone to lift something that's too heavy for you. If you take the word need out of the picture, then your lenses of how you look at other people completely changes.
And you won't put up with as much BS either, because in the stages of my life where I felt like I needed a man to be happy, I needed a man to feel like I was enough, I needed a man in order to feel wanted and validated, I picked the men who would do the exact opposite. I picked the most predatory men. I picked the men who basically, they could smell my desperation like blood in the water. And that's the kind of man you attract, because a man who's whole is not attracted to someone who needs him. He's attracted to someone who benefits from having him, but whose life doesn't fall apart if he weren't there.
You're exactly right. And they smell it. They sense it. It's we are animals. We are human. We are animals. And that's why sometimes alcoholics attract alcoholics. I know they sense it. It's just something. It's not something they can pinpoint. But
it's instinctive.
Yes, totally, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
So for me, the biggest thing I had a breakup, I guess maybe a year and a half ago, almost 2 years. Oh, a year and a half ago. The biggest thing in that breakup, because I was a serial monogamous in my 20s. I would go from relationship to relationship, and in between the relationships, I would have lots of fun excursions that I tell y'all about in my stories. I got plenty more for you. But between these, okay, within all of that, when this last relationship ended, I said to myself, I don't want to continue the same cycle at all. And so what I need to do in order not to continue that cycle, I did not know what that was. For me, it was getting into therapy, and then getting into therapy, it was dealing with the fact that I did not 100% like myself. And because I didn't like myself, on a subconscious level, I thought I needed a man in order to make me more likable to me, to make me feel like I was enough, to make me feel wanted. I would scroll through Instagram and Facebook, and I would see friends getting married or whatever, and I would literally like, oh, heart, happy for you. Meanwhile, saying, how the fuck you get married to somebody? And he a hoe, and he found him. And why this hoe be able to find somebody and I can't?
And you're ugly.
Yeah, you ugly. And you ugly.
I'm thinking, you're beautiful in your mama's eyes, baby. But you is ugly.
How you get a man? I'm sitting here lonely buying stuff on Amazon. How this work?
I'm sorry, I just said that. I don't call anybody ugly because I think all
I do.
But y'all know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, you've seen pictures of people and you're like, she got hair. What?
She must got plenty money.
Exactly. You must have a wonderful personality.
Got to. And I was sitting, I would watch that stuff, and I was like, it occurred to me, was like, you know what? I don't know what this story is, but what I do know is that my story needs a next chapter that's not like the last chapter. And the next chapter has to be me learning to like me, because I've been learning how to love everybody else, how to fix everybody else, and it's done nothing for me up to this point. So my next chapter's got to be me learning to love me. And I will say, learn to love myself, I don't think I could have gone through this journey if I was in a relationship. I wanted to be in a relationship within this process, but for what I've gone through to get to this point, I don't know that I would have gotten this unless I was single, because I had to get to know me without a man there. Because the way I'm built, I'm a nurturer. I love to be there for the people I love.
No, I'm a puppy dog fixer.
Yeah. Oh, baby.
I track them. I
call him Bob the
with
Builder.
a leash.
I'm Bob the Builder. Okay, I'm here to build a man.
I have to walk them. I have to tell them, train them.
You got to teach them everything.
I got to teach them to sit.
But the thing about that is we're putting so much energy into fixing them that we can't focus on what our needs are.
And then they get all wonderful and fabulous, and they leave you behind.
Won't they? Quickly. Thank you so much. It's been real.
They run off. Look, I found another owner I want to go live with.
And I said, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to have to focus on anyone else. I want to focus on me, and I just had the confidence that if I could do this, I would eventually attract a better man.
Speaking of Catherine Cryer, season 1, Hannah, my maid, asked Catherine, if you don't like your husband so much, why don't you divorce him?
I remember that.
And Catherine's response was, I don't want to get a woman the crown that I put the jewels in.
I remember that.
And sometimes I have to think about that when I think about rescuing more puppy dogs, because I've been with so many puppy dogs that I have trained, that I have nurtured, that I have fed, that I have grown, I have groomed, and then they've gone off. And I'm like, I did all the work, and she's getting off, and for her to get all the benefit. And I'm thinking, no. I'm
gonna be the one getting the benefit. You go grow with somebody else.
Exactly. Come to me.
Come to me, baby. So I'm not here to raise no man. At this point in my life, I'm proud to. So I'm gonna tell you this thing. This helped me so much. My therapist told me this a couple years ago. She said, the way that you choose men is faulty. That's been proven. You choose men who you have to fix, who you have to work on, and so on. And so she says, what you have to do is, she says, you have to, for a period of time, learn not to trust your attraction. She says, trust your instincts, but don't trust your attraction. I was like, what do you mean? She says, so, when you meet a guy, what I need you to ask yourself, is this the healthy, whole adult Malcolm liking him? Or are you attracted to him as the old Malcolm? Does the attraction to him feel familiar? Because she says, because you're attracted to stuff habitually, right? It's the same kind of people you're attracted to.
I need to say, you need, this is
Isn't this helpful?
This is totally me.
And so she says, so what you want to do is when you meet somebody, don't just throw them out to, oh, I'm attracted to him, I shouldn't trust it. But don't rush. Take a longer time with it, because you need to have a time period to be able to truly digest and dissect who's attracted him, your new self who you're going into or your old self. And that was so helpful to me because I gave myself permission to say, you don't make good choices in men. So for a period of time, we need to give a second look at everybody who you're attracted to. And what I realized was that there were certain traits that I was consistently attracted to in men that ultimately did not work out very well for me. I love that emotionally needy man because...
No, I like the bad boy.
You like the boy? I like the bad boys.
I don't know.
Is a reason.
The only thing I think it is because... It's just, I'm not a bad girl.
No, not at all.
In other words, it's a complete opposite.
You're the opposite.
There's something, I guess it's a danger element without being, I'm not feared for my life. Or
No, I get you,
There's
yeah.
just this, I don't know
Welcome
why.
to the wild side, kind of.
But every time I've been in a really good relationship and for whatever reason it ended, the next relationship is the bad boy. It's like, okay, I did all the nice, wonderful, sweet, perfect thing, and that clearly didn't work, so maybe I should go with the, you know what I'm saying? It's almost... If you look at my relationships, I'm like, great guy, great guy, great guy, bad boy, bad boy, bad boy, then great guy, and then bad boy, bad boy. It's something, I don't know why.
You know what it was for me that I realized? It was an unhealed part of myself from my childhood. I choose men who, and this isn't every man, just in case an ex is watching, you're the one exception, honey. So I've chosen men who...
No, my man I know is watching this. I can speak freely.
These men who are like emotionally unavailable. They are so focused on themselves, and I have to pour into them, and I do that because as a child,
there's a lot of men, ladies, that are emotionally
unavailable. I was saying that I have a history of choosing men who are emotionally unavailable, and it's because of the fact that there's that part of me that grew up in an environment where my parents were not always emotionally available to me. So I think that on the subconscious level, I'm choosing men who are reflective of my parental relationships from childhood, and you're trying to heal those relationships with the partners you choose today, saying, well, I can crack you open and make you available to me. And what I had to realize was that my parents, they were who they were because they were going through what they were going through. It's not my job to heal that. It's my job to choose a partner who's good for me today, you know? And I had to dig deeper to say, what is the connection between how I choose partners today and some of the unhealed parts of myself and my child? So I created a name for my child so I can ask myself this question. So I call my childhood self Mal, that's my childhood name.
Okay. And
so when I'm meeting a man, I say, is Malcolm the adult choosing this man and liking this man, or is it Mal? Right? So that's what I do. I separate the two. Because sometimes Mal is attracted to the guy who's going to show him tons of attention and be enamored with him. But he's probably someone who just is love bombing me and really has no real long-term intentions towards me. He just wants to pour it on and run out the door. Because I love the love bombs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I like now, I've had men pay me compliments, but I don't always listen to them.
Really?
But there's something about when the person that I might be attracted to starts making, all of a sudden I listen to them more to the other. So I can't say, is it compliments that attracts me to you? No, because I can get a compliment every day.
Yeah.
It's one thing if you meet somebody, they might be good looking, they may not, whatever, and you're not, you know, sometimes when you meet somebody, there's this instant, there's something about them that turns your head, whether they just said hello.
Yeah, it's an energy.
And you can have someone drop dead gorgeous. I mean, the Brad Pitt could walk in the room and say hello the same way, but for whatever reason, you don't have that chemistry. So I don't think it has to be the looks. But that one person, and what I have to tell myself is, what just clicked on inside of you? What just clicked? Is it a physical desire? Is it an emotional desire? Is it both? Is it a here and now? Or is it a month from now? Is it 2 weeks from now? What is it? Now, when and like there's somebody that I've been seeing now, and there was this click, and I'm trying to say, what was the click? And I don't know what the click was with this person.
Basically, like, why do I like you?
Yeah, why do I like you?
Just analyze.
And sometimes you're with people that are so wrong. Yeah. And I do that. Now we're having a conversation with me. That you know they're wrong.
Yeah.
You know that this is going nowhere.
Yeah, no future in this.
And even what you're in the middle of isn't even that good to begin with.
Yeah.
So why am I still in it?
That's usually when I'm lonely.
And back to the original thing.
Yeah.
The L word.
Yeah, loneliness.
It's the L word. And that's exactly what it is.
I have tolerated men who I know are not a good fit for me at all. There's no future with them. In fact, I know if I look in the future, in my heart of hearts, there's nothing but heartache coming from this person. Not that they're a bad person, just that we are not going to be a fit for each other.
It's not a fit.
But if I allow my loneliness to guide my decisions, I will make excuses for their insufficiencies. I will make room for them in my life, and eventually I will allow myself to fall in love with them, knowing that this is going to set me back because of loneliness. And that's what I've had to learn, is that loneliness may never go away, but you can make choices that don't allow loneliness to guide your decision making. Because like you said, you can be in a relationship with somebody and still have. I didn't even hear it.
I just hear my stomach growling over here.
I didn't hear it. No, but you could be in a relationship with somebody and have lonely moments because maybe they're working a lot in that moment, or maybe y'all just are not feeling emotion connected because y'all just in one of those moments. And so for me, I'm like, okay, loneliness, you're here at times, but you are not going to make my choices for me anymore.
Well, I need to do this a lot more. My life has been a little crazy. And so because I've been so crazy and I've been so rushed and I've been far more
I fussed her to rest a lot.
Crazy. This has been the most unrestful period in my life right now. Mm-hmm. And I can see coming up is not getting any better, but I'm working on that. But when I wasn't as go, I would take loneliness on a date.
How'd you do that?
I go to the movies by myself.
I love doing that.
All the time.
Yeah.
And it is a blast.
Because you're not talking to the person who's with you anyway, so that's fabulous.
So one thing to take, you take loneliness on a date.
Mm-hmm.
Go to a movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can go to fast food all the time, so that's not a date.
Yeah.
Take yourself to a nice dinner.
Yeah.
Choose to have the single glass of wine or a special drink.
Do you sit at the table or do you sit at the bar when you go by yourself?
Both, depending on where I've gone.
Okay.
Now, when I say the bar, there are restaurants almost like CPK, California Pizza Kitchen, that has a bar area, but it's in front of the soup kitchen.
So you don't really feel
So it's a bar, so you're not like, there's something about sitting in a bar, even if I'm drinking Diet Coke.
Yeah.
The only time I usually do that is if I'm in a sports area and I need to see the TV screen because I'm watching a football game. Yeah. But I don't know, I've got this stigma about that, unless there's no seat in the restaurant.
Yeah, then I will take what you get.
There's something about being considered a barfly. It's almost like, to me, a bar is a pickup zone for a single woman. Meaning, I am flashing a sign, I'm sitting at a bar.
Come get me.
Come get me. I would rather be at a table by myself.
Yeah, I love that.
That way, if a man notices me in that scenario and wants to talk to me, he knows that I'm not putting a flashing red sign on.
Okay, it's a little bit more demure.
I'm having dinner with myself, and I'm enjoying, and I am comfortable doing that.
You know why I love to take myself on dates too? I drive right through Topanga Canyon, and I go to the beach. I go right to the beach.
Of course, in that little thing you like to wear.
No, I'm clothed when I'm by myself.
Oh, okay. I'm talking about,
because I'm going by myself. I'm not trying to draw attention. So I'll go and, just walk up and down the beach. I literally do that. I'll walk up and down the beach and I'm just sitting there. I'm envisioning things for my future. I may have music in the background. My phone is on silent. I don't want to be disturbed. Mm-hmm. And I will do that. It's just a way for me to be by myself. Mm-hmm. And water, I don't know, maybe it's the Pisces thing. It fills me up in a beautiful way. And I leave there recharged and going with my day. And even if I'm not feeling good, I go there. I remember when I got the news that my grandfather had passed away. He passed away in a house fire. We were expecting everything else to happen. It was 94. And I got that news and my first response was to get up and go to the beach. Just because it was renewal for me. But that's what I do. I got a question for you before we close out this video.
Okay, no problem.
If you could give advice to your 20-year-old self about how to navigate life and love, with an emphasis on love and relationships, what would that advice be?
Actually, I wish the 20-year-old self would talk to the not so 20 anymore.
What would she say to you?
I made much better decisions in my 20s than I do now, I think, sometimes. Because I was so focused in my 20s on my career. Man was the last thing on my mind. So the men came along, but they were only passing. I was so focused. I was so focused. I was so focused. Got married, divorced, back again. Focused, focused, focused. Basically, the 20-year-old self would talk to me now. She would just say, keep your eye on the prize, whatever that prize is. Whether that's my career, whether that's owning something or whatever whatever that is. Just concentrate on what you want and on what you want and want not meaning a man.
Your life, your life's purpose.
My life purpose. And God and everything else will fill in the blanks. And now, later in my life, while I still know that, I don't always listen to it.
Yeah.
And I'm still focused. That's to the point that I am so focused that the L kind of comes in a little longer. Because I am older. When you're in your 20s, you're like, you don't think a long way to think.
It'll happen eventually.
Yeah, but in 20s, I knew I had the rest of my life ahead of me. I had time to be lonely in my 20s.
Loneliness hit me more when I got to my 30s, because then it started to hit me. I'm getting older. I thought I'd have babies by now. I thought the things I thought I'd have by now were not here. But then I got a whole lot of things I didn't know that I had by now, professionally, and all that good stuff.
Well, once you get your AARP card, that's when you really start thinking about you don't have your whole life. So I mean, it's post AARP card.
Post AARP card. I love you.
And getting a senior citizens discount at the movie theater. Loving that.
Y'all, this is Renee Lawless. How do they follow you?
Renee Lawless on Instagram. Please all follow me on Instagram or Renee Lawless. Renee Lawless on Facebook. And Ms. Renee Lawless on Twitter. I don't know why that's that way, but it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Love you to death.
Love you, sweetie.
Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
Thank
Love this
you.
man so much.